I have not done a lot of sailing content on this channel yet. But that's about to change because today we're going to talk about the sailing course I did this past autumn, the ASA103 at the South Portland Sailing Center. I have sailed for coming up on 20 years, but the vast majority of that has been on small boats, day sailers, 15 feet and down. So single mast, sometimes single sail, and usually, 2 or 3 hours at the most of within the bay that I live on. But I've always had the dream to live on a boat, sail the Mediterranean, sail the Bahamas and the BVIs, to go deeper into sailing life and possibly even make that part of my retirement. So I first did the course closest to me in Burlington, which was the US Sailing Basic Keelboat Certification. And this was stuff I already knew back and front. This was, directions of sail, rigging a sailboat, right of way. The docking was a little bit interesting because I usually just dock straight either on a mooring or straight at my beach. It was a fun day sailing, but it was nothing that far out of my comfort zone. Whereas ASA 103 is coastal cruising. It is on a larger 25 to 35 foot keelboat, powered. So you're dealing with engines and motors. The way it works is you are sent or you buy the book, you read the book and hopefully learn a lot of the practical things. Then you have a 2-day course where you go over all of the things in the book on a real boat. And then at the end of that, you sit a test and there's a passing grade. And if you pass, you get your certificate. I did it over 2 days at the South Portland Sailing Center. Really lovely people. Das, the instructor, was fantastic, very warm and welcoming. But for me, it was a big mindset shift going from small boats to big boats and all the things that are involved. The biggest thing is going from the skills of sailing to the skills of being a skipper, meaning being knowledgeable about all the systems of the boat, as well as being a leader, assigning roles, planning your passage, charts, weather, all of this stuff. And ASA 103 doesn't have time to go that much in depth into any one thing, but there are so many things that it still is a real learning curve. And I can imagine if you weren't already familiar with boats, if you already hadn't done the previous courses and spent time aboard a boat, learning how to use the wind to move the boat forward, it would be a lot. I was personally shocked about how many systems boats have. They have all the systems of a car, propulsion and electrical and fuel and cooling, but then they also have all the systems of a house. They have plumbing and freshwater and bilge pumps and septic. On top of that, you have, navigation and the hierarchy and the different roles. It is so much to keep track of, and you could spend so long learning and still not know it all. If there's one thing I came away with, it's how huge a responsibility it is to sail like that, and how you have to keep track of so many different things, the way that they're working, how you're moving, who's around you, the weather, and you have to take all of that on. But rather than being a negative thing, being a drag, I really liked how we learned it as an empowering thing, like something to be proud of, something to fully engage you. The only powerboat I had used before was my electric outboard. And I thought, compared to sailing where you're limited and you have to finesse your way through the wind, that a powerboat could go wherever it wanted. That's not true. There are all kinds of strange arcane forces operating on a powerboat, like prop balk and prop wash and the momentum of the boat, which all sounds, interesting until you have to dock next to a, $1 million mega yacht and not scratch the paint, or in high winds, or a cruise ship is going by and there's a huge wake. All of these things add complication, and you need to be able to model them in your brain, know what problem is coming beforehand. I hadn't really covered weather very much before because I only usually go sailing when the wind is good and the weather's good. And if the weather starts to change, I just come home. You can't do that on a longer passage. You have to know the forecast, know all the different types of forecasts, how you can predict what's happening and how that prediction may or may not change, and how you can have to alter your plans accordingly. Navigation is another huge part of it. Knowing how to work the navigation apps, how to read them, how to have backups, knowing their limitations, how to match what the navigation is saying with your horizon and the things around you, how to know about your depths, because that changes. That's a big thing to consider when you're in a bigger boat. And then if the navigation were to fail, you will lose power or lose GPS for any reason, how you can use paper charts and a compass to navigate as a method of last resort. The book covers all these things, but it is a huge difference to actually be out there on the water with the wheel in your hands, navigating through those situations, trying to recall what the next thing is, and to be able to do that with an expert with you for the first couple times is an immense help. It really builds your confidence to want to do it yourself. I really, really enjoyed it, but I'm the kind of person that would rather take a 2-day, boating course and realize how the difficulty of sailing than, lie on the beach somewhere. That's just boring to me. I love the activity and the learning and the growth of learning new skills, acquiring new skills, and being part of a tradition that goes back millennium. Seeing the problems that sailors face and how people have designed instruments and processes and mindsets to overcome them. And if not overcome them, mitigate them somewhat. So it is really engaging for me. It was a fantastic couple of days. I really highly recommend it if you're thinking of getting into sailing more seriously, to not just do a lesson, but to push yourself to pass this certification. I'm going to go back and do ASA104, which would qualify me to rent a boat and be the captain. And then I'll probably keep going from there over the next couple of years and do one every season. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that was useful to people out there. You can find links to the South Portland Sailing School in the description. I will see you next time.